Wax's podcast, talking mad shit about uninteresting facts. Wax's podcast, listen to it every Wednesday.
Yes, another episode of Wax's podcast. Episode 4 coming to you right now. This is Wednesday, whatever date this is, September something, 20 something. It's not even the 20 something, it's actually way earlier than that. And if I wasn't so lazy, I could just look on my computer, which is right in front of me, and tell you that it's Wednesday, September 12th. The year is 2012. And I'm looking at that little area of the Mac computer on the top right corner of the screen, on the monitor, if you will. Not only does it say the date, but it says the time. It's 6:26 a.m. right now. I'm doing this podcast in the morning, which is unusual for me. Usually I do this on a Tuesday night. Sorry about that. Kind of recap my week. But last night I did something that made it so I couldn't do that. And then this morning I actually had, which is also part of why I couldn't do this last night. I had to get up early to go take somebody to the airport at, I had to leave here like 5 a.m. I live super close to the sorry, I got the morning lung fungus or whatever you want to call it. So I apologize for the occasional throat clearance. But I live super close to the airport now. It's crazy. It's like 10 minutes away, if that. It's not really crazy. I mean, it's just geography. There's nothing crazy about that at all. I mean, I moved close to the airport, so now it takes less time to get there. Wow, that's what a concept. But yeah. So the reason I couldn't do this last night is because I actually went out and did something. I've had a very eventful week this week, which is fortunate in that I have a lot of stuff to talk about for this, and it's fortunate in that I just did a lot of stuff and had a lot of experiences this week. But unfortunately, I didn't get as much opportunity to work on this album as I wanted to. So this coming week after today, I'm literally going to be a caveman and shut myself in here. And when somebody calls me and says, hey, you want to go do this? I'm going to be like, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm working on this album till it's done. I'm going to treat this album from here on out. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm on page 1 here, but I'm going to treat it like a paper in school. I'm just going to like the next few weeks are as if it was the last night and I hadn't started yet. And I'm just going to do it till it's done. Drink coffee, not literally take Adderall. I don't fuck with that at all, but college students do that. My point is I'm a focus. That's why they do that. But I'm gonna be focused. I'm gonna get it done. And I'm not on page 1 here. What I'm saying? I'm pretty close to done, but I just want to make sure the shit is dope. Anyway, last night, like I said before on another podcast, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, I told you I had a ticket along with 3 of my friends, Jay, Alice, and Doris. Doris, I love that name. It sounds mad old school. Me, Doris, Ruth, Morris, and Penelope. Like those old school names that like Agnes. That I guess Doris goes with that. I don't know. But we went to the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is a Broadway musical that was written, and all the music and all the script or whatever was written by those dudes from South Park, Matt and Trey. And it just recently, I guess, came to L.A. at the Pantages Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, right down there by Vine. So we went down there last night, and let me tell you something. That shit was quite a spectacle. I've never seen anything that was that. I've seen a lot of crazy things over my life, but that shit was inspirational to me. I laughed a lot. It was a crazy story. The story was like, if I didn't know that the dudes from South Park wrote that, I probably would have guessed it, because it kind of had their hand on things, just like vulgarity and just like overuse of the word AIDS. I don't know, but the thing that impressed me about it the most is just the overall production of it. It's probably 2.5, not including intermission, it was probably 2.5 hours, which is a little long to sit there and watch something, but they got 20 songs. They got crazy stage changes, costumes, dance routines, dialogue, punchlines, everything about it, it actually kind of made me feel like, me putting together an album, which is just audio and just basically songs and whatnot. Like, it just made it seem like, it was inspirational, because it made me seem like, damn, like this what I'm doing is actually nothing compared to the production value and how detailed and intricate the intricacies of putting on something like that are crazy, And so I would recommend anybody go to see the Book of Mormon. If you want to know what it's about, it's basically like, if you don't know about Mormonism, I have a couple of people that, like, literally not very many, but one family that I was really good friends with, that, they were raised Mormon. I actually used to work for their dad. The two sons kind of veered off the path of Mormonism, but the dad stayed there, and I used to work for his company. Anyway, when you're a Mormon, when you're like 18 or 19, you're required to do a 2-year mission, and they kind of randomly assign you to somewhere in the world where you do your mission. And the point of your mission is basically to A, do good unto others, and B, try to convert people to Mormonism. So at the beginning of the play, or musical, I guess you call it a play, I don't know. I don't want to give too much away, but just the basic gist of it, without any spoilers, is these two, all the kids get together, and they all get assigned to where they got to go, and 2 of them got to go to Uganda. And of course, it's like the way South Park kind of brings out the stereotype of what we consider Africa. I mean, there's definitely parts of this shit that could be considered super racist, but I think that's the point. I think that they were trying to make it like that. If you've ever seen South Park or Team America, anything that those South Park dudes have created, they kind of play with that. So, I mean, they definitely like bring out this stereotypical what we see in like the commercials, like Save the Children commercials or whatever, and then the Stop Coney campaign. But it's so they go over to Africa, and then basically events transpire, hilarity ensues, and I don't want to give too much away, because even though I know most of you are never going to see that, it's hard to get tickets. It was kind of expensive. It was $100 to go, but I really wanted to see it because I'd never really been to anything like that, and I just wanted to see it, and it was well worth the money. My boy Jay that I went with had he doesn't drink as much as me yet, but we got there early because we thought we were worried about traffic, so we went to the bar. Dylan's right by there, and I had two Newcastles, and I think he had 3 Long Island iced teas. And a Long Island iced tea, for anybody that doesn't know, has a shitload of liquor in it. So 3 of those is a pretty good amount. So, about he paid $100 for his tickets, and after the intermission, he was pretty much asleep the whole time. His girlfriend was pinching his hand so he wouldn't snore. So way to go, Jay, if you're listening to this. Way to go. Kind of wasted that $100, even though I'm sure he had a good time. And the venue, the Pantages Theater, is crazy. I keep saying I've never seen shit like that. I mean, I've seen shit like that, but it was cool, man. So I'd recommend the Book of Mormon to anybody, especially people that fuck with South Park and musicals in general. I mean, the music in this shit was crazy. There was a lot of really funny parts. Like, there was this one song where, like, I don't want to give away too many of the jokes and shit, so I'm gonna stop there. Besides, I know none of you guys are gonna fucking go anyway. First of all, it's only in New York and Los Angeles, so anybody that doesn't live in those 2 places would have to fucking drive far away to go, or fly possibly to go. I mean, considering some of the emails I got, I mean, some of you guys are in Australia and Germany. I mean, if you're going to come to the United States just to go see that, I mean, that'd be quite an expensive trip. I talk about Jay losing $100. I mean, you're talking about thousands there. I don't recommend it that much that you should come from a foreign country, another country, to see it. You know what I mean? But, if you live in LA or you live in New York City, I would highly recommend it. Shit is funny. But let's move on, man. I talked about that for way too long. What else did I do this week? Had an eventful week since last one. Okay, last Thursday. Last Thursday was the Video Music Awards here in Los Angeles. I don't know if any of you guys watched the Video Music Awards. I did not, because I don't watch TV pretty much at all. I don't have cable. I don't watch TV. But my manager, Brian, does know a guy who is one of his good friends who kind of puts on this party every year, this Video Music Award after party. And I've been to it a couple times before. And, it's kind of like a star-studded event or whatever, so it's kind of one of those things where, if you got the access or whatever, like, not because I'm fucking me. I'm not saying, like, I have access because I'm wax or whatever. I'm saying because I know Brian and he knows that dude and he can get us in there. And I've been to a good amount of these parties, and, like, you never know with these Hollywood events. Like, some of them are like you just have a fucking great time. It's one of the illest shit you ever done in your life. And then some of them are just kind of boring, and it's kind of like, all right, what do we do now? This one was more of the latter. I would definitely say more of the latter. I'll just tell you what happened. First of all, I go out and I meet Brian at this place, Craig's. Craig's is this restaurant on Melrose Avenue. I definitely recommend it. And Brian and his boys go there every Thursday night. So before this event, he was there chilling with his boys. Yeah, so since they go there every Thursday night. The reason they do this is because they know the guy who runs the place. It's called Craig's, and they know Craig. And when I got there, Craig was sitting at their table. And this place, Craig's, is like a Hollywoodish kind of place, too. God damn, there's a lot of Hollywood shit in this one. But it's, when I got there, what was crazy is 2 tables down from us was Jerry Heller. And if you don't know who Jerry Heller is the founder of Ruthless Records. Ruthless Records being the original home of NWA. When NWA was gone, they were the home of Eazy-E and eventually the first home of Bone Thugs and Harmony. So it was like a really historic record label. And if you've ever seen the video, Dr. Dre's video for Dre Day, the white like record executive that they make out to be like, the stereotypical guy, that's the exact guy they're impersonating, was Jerry Heller. So this dude was 2 tables down, and I guess he's a regular there, so Craig was like, you want me to bring him over here? And like, he did. So we're sitting there, and it's me, Brian, and 2 of Brian's friends, and we just started talking to him, and it was just interesting, man. He started talking about the early days of Ruthless Records. He was talking about how, someone like he didn't. Jerry Heller himself is like he's not like Eazy-E. He doesn't come from a street environment and shit, but just because he got into that shit, like he had to get bodyguards, he had to have guns, he had to be protected, and especially when the feud broke out and Suge Knight got involved and everything. I mean, he told us mad stories about video shoots gone wrong and shit. Like, it was interesting too because that day, last Thursday, was actually Eazy-E's birthday. Eazy-E would have been 49 that day. So like, I don't know. He was talking about when Eazy died, how sudden it was. He was an interesting dude to meet. And one of the dudes that was with us, one of Brian's boys. Brian knows a lot of random people. So one of his good friends is this dude Brecken Meyer, who's an actor. I mean, some of you guys might know. He was a pretty famous actor. And a story that he actually told was that I guess Jerry Heller and Brecken's dad have some kind of past, and he would, Brecken was an Eazy-E fan when he was younger. So I guess on his 17th birthday, he randomly got a call, and it was Eazy-E telling him happy birthday. So that would have been cool for me when I was a kid. I would have been younger than 17, but that would have been the shit. Anyway. Where am I fucking going with this? Hold on one second. This recording shit's fucking up. Alright, I thought I might have fucking, all that shit might have got deleted. Anyway, fucking, we that happens, Jerry Heller happens, me and Brian leave, we go to this place, which is actually at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I feel like I talk about that place every fucking episode. I've only been there 2 times, this time and the other time I talked about it, but for some reason I'm always bringing it up in this podcast. So we get up there mad early, unfashionably early. We're like some of the first people there because they were actually having like a dinner. When we were at Craig's, we didn't eat. They were having like a dinner there. Me and Brian had like the VIP access because his boy puts on this event. And one of the things I want to talk about with this thing is like, at a lot of things like this, a lot of Hollywood events, and I'm sure a lot of events in general everywhere, at clubs or resorts, or I don't know, resorts. An interesting phenomenon is the VIP section is usually like everybody talks about, we in the VIP, we doing this, we doing that. The VIP section is usually in reality the wackest section of the party. Like in this particular case, the VIP section is where there was like a dinner. It was like a banquet, and it was like, you know, you walk in there, you walk out of the place where there's like all like the you can't, it's shoulder to shoulder, and there's fucking music blasting, and there's people kind of moving and dancing, and fucking girls dressed all scantily clad, and then you walk into this VIP section. It's like you get into this fucking, it's like you all of a sudden you walk into your cousin's wedding, you know. It's like there's like assigned seats, and there's like, it looks there's nothing to distinguish it from a wedding. Even the DJ was playing 80s music and some like, I mean, I thought people were going to do the electric slide in there. It was like going to a wedding, except Akon is at your wedding. Like that's basically what that's like. And I always feel weird at these events because I don't ever really look like I belong there. I don't know what it is about me. I mean, part of it is the fact that I don't like dress all outlandishly, and I don't look real stylish and shit. And you know, every time I go to these places, it's like all the security's always staring at me, and they're like, it was probably in this particular thing, you had to have a wristband, and there was at least 3 people who were like, yo man, where's your wristband? Yo, you got a wristband? And like, I was just like, something about me that looks like I don't belong there. Whereas my manager Brian is the opposite, man. My manager Brian is a suave dude, and he's the kind of dude that like, and he tells me this, he's like, you know, people wait in front of clubs and bars and lines and then try to get in. They try to weasel their way in, showing their ID, saying, well, blah, 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 I'm on the list. Brian's the type of dude, and he'll tell you this is the key to do it. If you just look like you're supposed to be there and you just walk right the fuck in, the bouncer will be like, oh yeah, that dude's supposed to be here. And I've seen him do it a million times, man, and I can't fucking do it. You know, I can't fucking do it. I'll try to, even if I try to go in with them, they'll stop us because of me. They'll be like, you're cool, who's this guy? You know, and it's hard to explain, but he just walks into shit. But yeah, it was cool. It was a cool party. I had a good time. I did see Katy Perry and John Mayer in there, and the only thing that I would really say about that is, first of all, Katy Perry has nice titties, as if you didn't know that. And second of all, John Mayer is really fucking tall. So I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a really fucking tall dude. So that is basically what I got out of that party. The VIP section was whack. John Mayer is tall, and I don't look like I would belong there. And people always ask me for my bracelet and or my stamp or whatever. But I had fun, and maybe the reason why I didn't have as fun as I do at some things is because I was unusually responsible. I don't know if I've said this before on here, but I don't drink and drive, man. I used to do that when I was younger or whatever, and I think that's a really bad idea. I think it's really fucking stupid, and I don't do that anymore. So at this party, I had 2 drinks, and then I had like 3 waters, and then, you know, I drove home. And at a lot of these events, like, I go overboard. You know, I a lot of times I tend to make a fucking fool out of myself at these kind of events, actually. But at this one, I didn't. But maybe that's why I was kind of like not really talking to that many people. Also, because of a lot of these events, there's a lot of people there that I don't even know how to talk to. You know, like I can't. I've had conversations where I'm just like, what are you talking? It's really hard to explain. So I got back from that. Then I went home and I fucking jerked off thinking about a squirrel. No, I didn't do that. I don't even know why the fuck I said that. Let me fucking regroup here and do something more interesting. Had an eventful week. You know what I did this weekend is I actually went down to San Diego to visit my brother and his family. I did that Saturday night. 2 reasons I went down there: to visit my family, which basically means to see my nephew Max, my brother's kid. And then Saturday night we had a studio session. Not like at like an actual studio, but my boy Fraser, you know, behind his house he has kind of like a garage that he calls the whiskey den. And my boy Fraze I've known since I was a fucking little kid, and he was a drummer in when I used to be in a band. He was a drummer, but he's also an all around talented musician. He plays keys, guitar, bass, drums, whatever. And he's really getting back into music. You know, he has another job that he does. He owns his own concrete company. I actually used to work for him when I lived in San Diego. And he's really good at what he does, but he's kind of like on this resurgence where he's getting real back into music. So we've been having these sessions down there, and the Whiskey Den is a cool spot, man. It's like he's got this garage, and as soon as you go in there, like it smells like a garage. There's like surfboards and an American flag, and there's a TV that's got a baseball game or something on it. But it's not like a nice. It's not like what you might be thinking with, like, it's not like a fucking lounge like home studio thing. It's like it's a fucking garage. There's laundry machines and fucking mad tools and just like dust and the rafters there, and like I don't know, it's just, and he's also got his old Fender Rhodes. Fender Rhodes is like a old electric piano in there, and then he's got like a bass amp in there, and we bring my brother's recording setup into there, and we just kind of jam out and try to think of stuff. And usually we start with some drum loops, and then we go from there. Usually it's kind of tends to be on the kind of like funky, maybe old, like 70s stuff. We do some like almost classic rock leaning stuff. But we came up with some dope shit, and also, you know, we just drank some whiskey and shit. So that was a good time. I really like having sessions down there. I'd like to make a whole album there. Hopefully that'll happen. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd have a real cohesive, like, interesting vibe to it if we just went there for like 2 weeks and just made a bunch of shit. But we'll see if eventually that'll happen. So that happened. I got kind of messed up that night. Just rode home with my brother, slept it off, and then the next day, me and my brother's son, we went to the zoo, the San Diego Zoo, which is a world-renowned zoo for those of you that don't know. If you're ever in the area, I'd highly recommend it, unless you're one of the kind of people that don't like zoos. And I understand that, you know, the animals are trapped up in their little environments, you know. But I mean, you know, this zoo, the environments aren't as bad as some other zoos. You know, like the Baltimore Zoo, I remember, like, the Baltimore Zoo was like, there's a couple, it's not terrible, but there was a couple parts that were terrible. Like, it's like the lions are all like, they're just laying in this really small place. All it is like a chain link fence and grass, and they like just lay there, and they don't look ferocious at all. The elephants look like they have like fucking scabs all over them. The Baltimore Zoo is not the best zoo to go to, although the penguin exhibit and the groundhog exhibit were good. They're not. They pale in comparison to the San Diego Zoo. The San Diego Zoo is the shit. I'd recommend anybody go there. My favorite part of the zoo, as well as my nephew's favorite part of the zoo, was the Galapagos tortoise exhibit. And I just think it's interesting because the oldest Galapagos tortoise they had, the Galapagos tortoise has the longest lifespan of any land animal. They can live for 200 years, and one of the turtles there was 150 years old, and they still expected him to live for 50 more years. Like, he was born when like Lincoln was president, and I don't know. I just think that's crazy that something that fucking big and slow and seemingly useless. You know, like, it's just, they're so fucking slow and big and fucking, I don't know. I don't see why they would have to live that long and how they can live that long. Like, usually for human beings, if you're kind of like fat and slow, it might make your lifespan shorter, I guess. I don't know. Maybe if they would fucking try to work out a little bit more and run faster, maybe do a little bit more, maybe they could live 300 years, you know? I wonder what they die of. I guess just fucking cirrhosis of the entire inner body, or just fucking, I don't know, maybe that shell protects them. What the fuck am I talking about? I wanted to tell this story. While I was down there, my brother used to have these two girls that lived next to him in the apartment complex. these two girls they were like, college age chicks, and they were super loud. And it's kind of funny they're named Amber and Brittany, which is like such stereotypical names for chicks like that. But they were so loud that all the neighbors complained. My brother and them didn't complain because they're kind of chill about that kind of stuff, even though they do have a kid. But those chicks got kicked out, so in comes this other dude, and this dude is like a fucking gamer kind of dude. No offense to the gamers. I don't mean that not a gamer. He just looks like the kind of dude that don't leave his house that much, doesn't communicate with other people that much, kind of socially awkward, If you know who Gokub the Mathematical is, he looks like that. He's the kind of dude that would like have a really large collection of porn on his computer. He'd have a really large collection of but the porn he would watch would be like the porn where it's like alien porn. Like, you ever seen that kind of porn where there's like they're on a spaceship and like they go to another planet and there's like these big titty green girls, and like that dude probably watches that kind of porn. Probably into Star Trek, Star Wars, etc. No offense to anybody who's into that. I'm just trying to explain who this dude is before I tell this story about him. My brother just says that every interaction he's had with him is kind of weird. So keep in mind that we're in San Diego right now. San Diego is pretty much always beautiful as far as the weather is concerned. And I don't know why we thought this was so funny, but this dude comes up to my brother, and it's fucking beautiful outside. You look up in the sky, and it's just blue, sunny. There literally is not one cloud in the sky. And he comes to my brother and he goes, "Hey, looks like it's gonna rain today, huh?" And my brother looks up in the sky and is just like he's got that "huh" expression on his face. And he looks at the dude. He doesn't even say anything. And the dude looks at me and he's just like, "Well, I guess we'll see what happens." I don't know. I don't know. It did not look like it was going to rain at all. So I wanted to tell that story because I fucking was laughing at that. All right. Kind of deep into this podcast, and I don't know that I've really said anything that's of interest to you guys. I'm just kind of telling stories of what happened this week, basically. I did that, came home. Last night I went to Book of Mormon, and now here I am recording this shit. Now my 6:53 a.m. It's not even 7 in the morning yet. I'm almost damn near a half an hour into this. So I can't believe I can ramble like this. It's weird. It's weird that I even have the ability to just sit here and fucking talk like this. All right, so I wanted to tell one more story before we get into some other segments and shit. I've told this story a lot of times, so I apologize if I skip anything. But this was when people sent me questions this week. This was a common one, and people ask me this a lot. But I wanted to I always talk about how I'm not allowed in Canada. And I wanted to just relate the story of why I'm not allowed in Canada. Everybody always asks me why, and every time I tell the story, it's like, you can't expect somebody to go scour the internet or go call everybody in the world to see if anybody's found out about this story. I got to tell it again because, that's the way it is. You got to tell people individually. So even after this, I'm sure I'll tell this. Even after this podcast, not that many people listen to this podcast. If you can consider All Things Considered. I think that's the name of another podcast. But let me just tell the fucking story. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like you're going to call the last person I told the story to and ask them to relate the story to you. And even if you did, it'd be like that game Telephone, and eventually it'd be like why I'm always allowed in Russia rather than why I'm kicked out of Canada. Anyway, about 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago at this point, Jesus fucking Christ, that I had a show. This dude booked me a show in Toronto. It was the second time I had played in Toronto. This time, instead of playing there while I was on a tour and driving up there, I was flying because I was just coming out there by myself. This was when I was going super old school and just trying to break even. So I didn't have a DJ or anything. I just bring some tracks. I usually would bring up an iPod and just kind of be my own DJ. And if it looked whack and unprofessional, I would just kind of like make fun of myself, and it would all work itself out. But in this case, they actually provided a DJ for the whole night because there was a bunch of opening acts too. So I just brought the tracks, blah blah blah. So for those of you that don't know, if you go to Canada and work, You know, if you do anything that makes money in Canada, you have to get a work visa. I don't remember how much it costs, but it costs some money to get that visa, and it's a process to get that visa. So for most musicians that are on a lower scale, rather than doing that shit, they just go over there and do it and just don't tell anybody. And this is kind of a big issue at the border, you know, like if you drive a lot, it happens all the time. All the time this happens. Like people try to do this, and they drive across the border in their big white van that's full of guitars and shit. And you know, the border people are not stupid. They'll just find out the name of your band and Google you right there while you're waiting at the border. They'll Google your name and be like, dude, you have a show in Edmonton tonight or wherever you're playing. And then they won't let you do it, then you can't do your show. So in my case, it should have been a lot easier because, you know, it's just one person. But I was flying this time, not driving. So when you get to like the customs or whatever it's called, the border patrol, you line up, and when you get to the front, they kind of ask you some questions, and 99% of the time they just let you go through, and they put you into the line where all those 99% of the people go. And for some reason, when I got to the front of the line this time, I just hadn't thought of my story. I forgot about the fact that I was coming there to play a show. I was just excited to go, so I forgot about the fact that I had to lie, you know? So I didn't really think about what the fuck I was going to tell the person until I got to the front of the line. So I get to the front of the line finally. Of course, I got a guitar on my back. And like, it wasn't until she kind of asked me because I'm just thinking about other stuff and thinking about the show, and just who knows what I was thinking about, but I wasn't thinking about the fact that I had to lie, and like it fucking hit me like a ton of bricks when I got there. I was like, oh fuck, I haven't formulated my story yet. I had my guitar on me, and she asked me what I did for a living. Immediately I said I was a musician. I should have said something else, anything else, because that's, you know, if you do that for a living and you're walking across with a guitar, there's a good chance that you're coming over there to play a show. Not to mention, you know, my bag was just full of merch, you know, so she could have easily found that out too. So she looked at me, and the first thing she said was, are you coming over here to play a show? I was like, nope. She was like, so what are you here for? I was like, to visit a friend. She was like, and she says, is it a male or female friend? I said, female. And she's like, how do you know this person? And for some reason, my response was, and this is just something that I made up, I guess, in my little subconscious mind or whatever. I was like, I met her on Facebook. So for this was a little bit of an older person. Maybe for younger people, and even now, as opposed to 3 years ago, that wouldn't seem sketchy to meet somebody on Facebook and come over to check, you know, to meet that person. But to that person, that was like a really sketchy answer. Like she probably thought she asked me. She said, "How old is this person?" I was like 22. Like she probably thought in reality I was like one of those. Was it Chris Matthews to Catch a Predator people, but like a really active version that's actually willing to go internationally to catch its prey. But at least it's female and not a little dude or whatever. But not saying either of those are right. But this person was of age, by the way, because there actually really was somebody I kind of wanted to. There was some truth to that story. The reason I was going was to play a show, but there actually was some truth to the Facebook story, and I think that's why. I think that's why my brain said that. But anyway, this sent signals off in her head that I was either lying or sketchy in general. So they sent me in the 1% line, which is like the sketchy line, which basically means you have to go up to another window and they do like a little mini background check on you. So when they did my little mini background check, they discovered that I had recently had a DUI. That DUI experience being amongst just the normal reasons why I don't drink and drive anymore. That doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But for those who don't know, officially in Canada, if you're a United States citizen and you've had a DUI within the past 10 years, you're not allowed in Canada. And, I had. So, and I'm not saying that, like, if you've had a DUI, you could probably go to Canada, but 99% of the time, you're going to just go to the regular line, and they're not going to go background check every single person to see if they've had that. So usually, every day, I'm sure hundreds of people walk through like that. But in my case, I fucked up, and they found me out. So they were like, they were like, well, you got to get, I happen to be coming from Chicago. They're like, you got to get the next flight out. And I came on like an 11 o'clock flight, so I was the last flight of the day. So the next flight wasn't until the morning at like 6. And I explained I ended up explaining to the person who worked there. I was like, well, I got my friend waiting for me outside. I really did. The guy, I'm not gonna say his name, but the guy who booked the show for me and had promoted the show and made flyers for the show, and me and him had planned the show, and like already sold a bunch of tickets for the show. You know, was really trying to do the show. I had a pre-show at this clothing shop. Everything was all planned, and he was waiting outside, blowing up my phone to pick me up. And I explained this to her, and she actually got on the phone with the guy and got his information, like his phone number, address, got all my information, and agreed that, like, instead of me just sitting there for 5 hours or whatever it was in the airport, I could just roll out with him. And I signed a piece of paper that he promised to take me back for that flight. So I go out, I get in, I finally, long story short, this long story is long, who am I kidding? But I go outside and meet up with this dude. I'd never actually met him in person before, but it was him and his boy. I explained to him what happened. I had already kind of explained to it on the phone. We were all bummed out, so we went and got a drink. And then we kind of got another drink and another drink. And by the time we'd had a few drinks, you know, our logic, and in some case, you know, our logic was like, you know what, fuck it, like, what's the worst that could happen? And you know, they kind of convinced me, you know, like they were on some like, it's Canada, dude, we're cool, we're chill, they're chill here, it doesn't matter, man. And I was like, whatever. So the show was the next night, or I can't remember if it was the next night or 2 nights later, but regardless, I was supposed to be back at the airport at, you know, 6 a.m. And like you know, we're drinking a drink at 1 a.m. and I'm supposed to be back at 6 a.m. So we decide, you know what, fuck it, I'll just not go back and I'll do the show. So you know, I did that, did the show, had a good time. Didn't make that much money, but I did make some. Finally got dropped. You know, after the show, I finally bit the bullet and went back to the airport. And keep in mind, like, they're calling him. They're saying they're gonna send police to his house and all this shit. And you know, they're gonna put out a warrant for me and all this shit. But I was still only there over that time for like 2 days. But I finally get to the airport. And I report back to like the immigration or the customs or whatever they call it, the border patrol or whatever, and they were fucking furious. You know, they looked at me and they said this. They thought that I was, you know, they're like, what do you think you are? So you think you're some American that can do whatever they want? You think that Canada ain't shit? Like, they didn't say Canada. Do you think? But they said something to that effect. And I was trying to say no. You know, I tried to explain to them that it was like I basically pulled the like, I can't really explain it. I just had to stay. You know, like I just pulled it like that. And the guy basically said, you know what? Well, you're never allowed in Canada again. And they put me on the basically like never allowed in Canada again list. And if you ask, and then, you know, they had two guards escort me to my gate, which I actually got through a long security line in no time. But I sat there. I had to sit there next to those two dudes until my plane left. But if you were to ask me today, was that experience worth it? I would say, fuck no. It wasn't worth it at all. I wish that I could go back to Canada, and I think that if I got some money and a lawyer and stuff like that, and maybe I could probably make it happen. But no, I really wish that had never happened, man. Like, I wish that I would have just reported back and missed that show, and now I could go back and do shows there. I have a lot of people that like me up there. And it's a goddamn shame. And you know, the dudes who did that, they made like a whole documentary about the experience, and I think it's in some film festivals and shit. They made like like wax fugitives, and like, you know, I don't know. I can't really be happy about that documentary because I look at that experience as a big mistake. So, anyway. Let's do the call someone and fuck with them portion of this podcast. That's a segment I like to do. Dude, what the fuck is going on? Hold on. I just gotta make sure that this is recording. There's something going weird with my computer here. Hold on a second. All right, it appears to be working properly. There's just something weird going on. I record this in Pro Tools, and it just like usually you can kind of see it recording, but this it's kind of like freezing up, but it doesn't look like it's working, but it actually is working. Anyway, call someone and fuck with them. I think that today, since I'm doing this so early, it's 7 a.m. here, so I'm going to call somebody on the East Coast. It's Wednesday, so most people are working. But I'm going to call my boy Galen. My boy Galen is the dude who basically, since for a long time, has done all my graphic design stuff. He does my album covers. He does my website. He does a lot of that stuff. And he actually does graphic design for a living. He has a 9-to-5 as a graphic designer, and he works in Baltimore. And he's actually got through my music shit and through just the good work he's done through me. He's gotten a lot of good work out of it. I always say he did way better with Def Jam than I did. And he did Ludacris's website. He's working on shit with Rihanna, Justin Bieber. His company is killing it with this whole shit. And need to send me a little Christmas bonus. But I'm going to try calling him, and he's probably at his desk. I don't know what I'm going to say to him. I'm going to try to... I should plan these better, too. I say that every week, but fuck it. I'm going to fuck with him about my website or something. Yo, what's up, dude? Hey, you got 1 second? Cool. I wanted to ask you. I had this idea for the website. I wanted to see what you thought of it.
Are you in California right now?
Yeah.
God damn, up early, huh?
Yeah, I had to take someone to the airport this morning.
Oh, okay.
But I had this idea for the website. I was thinking like instead of the way it is now, like you go to wax.com.com and it's like it like looks kind of like a forest, right? And when you run your mouse over it, like a different type of tropical bird comes out and like squawks. It's like bio, and then a different kind comes out and it's like tour dates. Like maybe one's like a cardinal and one's like a toucan. And then like when these things come out, like they kind of morph, and they morph into text, and you hear like this squawked. I was just thinking it would give it more like a tropical feel,
You're fucking with me.
No, I'm totally fucking with you, man. You're on my podcast right now. You're on the call someone and fuck with them segment of my podcast.
Oh shit.
No, I guess I could have done something that was more realistic that could have tricked you better.
Well, for a second there you had me going, I was like, what the fuck?
What are you working on right now?
Some Rihanna stuff, actually.
Stuff for Rihanna?
Yeah, I don't know if I should say that on the podcast, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, I was just mentioning briefly that you've done you've kind of done better with the major label world than I have, but I just wanted to call you because somebody actually asked me about somebody who does the graphic design for me. I just wanted to fucking give you some props for like doing this shit basically for like my whole entire musical career because I've known you so long. What got you into graphic design? You're now a professional with this shit, doing high budget, big name shit.
It's kind of random, actually. I have a degree in biology, which I really never ended up using, and I was unemployed and doing construction and basically a scrub, and I saw one of those late night TV commercials for like a Lincoln Technical Institute type thing for graphic design.
Nice.
So I fucking took out a very expensive student loan and went to school and got into it and actually just clicked, and it's something I enjoy doing, and just kind of just snowballed from there.
Nice, man. So I mean, you're kind of an example of somebody kind of similar to me, who like you do a lot of jobs that kind of lead you to the path of like, yo, what am I doing? So then finally something clicks and you're like, you know what, this shit is really working out. Do you see yourself doing this for a long time?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's the plan.
Cool.
It's weird. It's like you have to do all the wrong jobs first before you end up at the right one.
Right. And there's a lot of people, like the people that send me shit for this podcast, that there's a bunch of people that send me like younger people who are like, I like music, but I go to school for something else. And, you know, like you said, you did biology and now you're a graphic designer, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy how shit worked out.
What are your specialties?
Do a lot of website design and just online marketing. You know, Facebook ads and banner ads. Basically, if it requires Photoshop and you see it on the internet, that's the kind of stuff I do.
Cool. Well, if you guys want to get with Galen about doing your website or your Facebook page, his number's no, I'm not gonna give out your number. But cool, man. What is there anything you want to relay to the people out there, the idiots who actually listen to this shit? Sorry, I didn't mean you guys are idiots, but I just
No, I just hope I don't sound stupid on the radio.
Okay. The radio.
Or podcast, whatever it is.
Exactly, whatever it is. All right, cool, man. What are you in your office right now?
Yeah, walking around in the hallway.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, tell everybody there we said what's up, and tell your boss that he needs to send me a fucking Christmas bonus.
I did say something to them about that. I'll see what I can do.
I'm just fucking playing, man. I'm just playing.
I'll just keep doing free whack shit on the side while I'm supposed to.
Exactly. Now the Christmas bonus is that you can do stuff for me, and they can't really complain because like I kind of got them a lot of crazy shit.
Exactly.
Cool, man. Well, good luck with that shit, Galen.
I know.
All right, bro. I actually did specifically call him because there's a dude who emailed me about how he wanted to get into graphic design, but his parents were like, yo, that's not like a field that'll work. You know, and the problem is his parents are probably older, and that seems like a field like music or being a painter that's like not painter like painting houses, but you know, like painting portraits or whatever you want to paint. It seems something difficult, but in this day and age, like, dude, graphic design is a great thing to get into. So that was call someone and fuck with them. And I got a new segment on this shit, man. I got a new segment. And the reason I have this new segment, I can't guarantee that this segment is going to happen every week. But it just I have a feeling, knowing my mom, I have a feeling that this shit is going to happen every week. Because every week so far, she has actually emailed me. Which, by the way, email is only 1 or 2 years old phenomenon with my mom. She's only had email for like maybe 1 or 2 years. And every week she emails me and gives me feedback on here. Let me see. And this week I thought it was particularly funny. I just want to read this one part. This remember last time I told me she said that she found what I said about masturbating and lightning. So hopefully she'll drop gems every week. I mean, she listens every week, which is funny to me. So she's listening to me kind of talk shit about her. And you know, when I was young, I wouldn't dare use the phrase talk shit in front of my wonderful mother. And I feel bad for even doing it now, but hey, I'm older. You know, what can you do? But this is what she said. I listened to podcast number 3 today. Here's my feedback. The questions from blah, 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 blah. All this stuff is like whatever, but this is where it was funny. Please this is because E was with me last week when we did all the answering the questions. She said, please let E know I think he has a fabulous voice with a wonderfully sexy, throaty voice quality. He should definitely consider a career in broadcasting. I learned 2 new expressions from him. Quote, friends with benefits, unquote, and rock your body. I plan to use them in conversation at my first opportunity. The podcast was too long, etc. But I just thought that my mom saying that E had a wonderfully sexy, throaty voice quality. To me, that was funny. I wish that E was here to respond to that. I don't know what he would say, but he does. Every time I go somewhere with E, and my manager Brian Washington too, those dudes happen to have super deep voices. Every time we go somewhere, like there tends to be somebody like whether it be a random person or whatever, they're always like, you ever thought about being a radio DJ? You know, like the radio DJs with the deep voice. Like he actually might start a podcast himself where he just plays music and he acts more like the jazz DJ, you know, the classic jazz DJ that says way too much information about the song. Like he's just like, that was Stanley Clark and on trumpet that day, in the studio that day was Donnie Fleischman. Interesting story about Donnie Fleischman. When Donnie Fleischman was 5, he had a brother. His brother's name was Steve Fleischman. Steve Fleischman, he was a pilot. A pilot in 1972 took a trip to Antarctica where he met an Eskimo by the name of Akamut. And you know what I'm saying? Like they just say way too much information about the song and what happened. And I could totally see E being one of those dudes. Anyway, this is getting a little long, so I'm just gonna go to the. I had tons of questions I wanted to fucking answer today from listeners, but I might have to rush through a little bit and skip some of them. First of all, happy birthday to Olivia and Shane, who hit me up saying it was their birthday. A bunch of people always hit me up that they want advice on getting started and making music and promoting music. This week, Angus, Chris, and Sadrack, or people like that. You know, I can't remember one of them's age, but two of them were very young, 15 and 16. And to them, I would say, just like what I did last week, don't worry too much about the promotion. Just get better at it. However, this dude Angus brought an interesting question to the table. He was like, because I said that last week, he was like, well, isn't it more impressive that I'm 16? And you know what, Angus? That's a really good point that I didn't think about. And I listened to your SoundCloud, and that is impressive that you're doing that when you're 16. So maybe in your particular case, you should try to get it out there fast. I hadn't thought about that angle. Not like some people. Some people, the whole point is that they're young, and it's pretty amazing that at 16 they're doing that. So I kind of take back what I said last week. Good point, Angus. And I really enjoy the steak that is named after you. Duh, it's stupid as shit. All right. Zach asked, what one person would I punch in the face without consequences? I'll respond to that by saying, first off, I'm not very strong, so I would probably have to bring somebody in to pinch punch. You like that? Pinch punch for me on that situation. Because if I punch somebody in the face that I wanted to punch in the face, I'd probably be upset. Like, God damn it! I wish I could have punched him harder than that. But the dude who I would punch is fucking Jonathan Greenblatt. Jonathan Greenblatt is the founder of Ethos Water. If you don't know what Ethos Water is, then you probably don't go to Starbucks, because that's the kind of the water they sell there. Ethos Water is in a basket when you go into Starbucks, and when I first saw it above the basket, that there's this huge picture of this African child who just looks like, one of those commercials I mentioned earlier, the flies, and like just skinny and just like starving and dirty and all that shit. Big picture of that, and it says, help this child get water, or some shit like that. So it makes you think that if you buy this bottle of water, that it's like charity. And what you don't know is, you buy the bottle of water. This is the ratio. The bottle of water is $1.80, and 5 cents of that bottle goes to water projects around the world. And you might be like, well, at least they donate something. And that's that. I mean, there's definitely a positive side effect to Ethos Water. There's a positive fucking side. All my friends have heard me fucking rant about this. There's a positive side effect. They've got that 5 cents has added up to millions of dollars that have helped people, et cetera, et cetera. But that's 3% of what you pay for that bottle of water. 3%. First of all, bottled water is fucked up. It's just if you've never seen Tapped, the documentary Tapped, watch that shit. It's enlightening and eye-opening. But that's 3% of what you paid. But the fucking marketing was 100%. I bought the fucking bottle of water strictly because you put that fucking picture in front of my face. And the people that started this company sold the company for $8 million to Starbucks. Now they might have sent 3% of this shit to these projects, but they kept it because they kept all. I think it was, I don't remember. It might have been 80 million. I don't even know. But they kept all this money, and it's like you fucking exploited these people. Like it's not a charity, Like that's not a charity. 3%. and and 100% of your marketing is this person. You're fucking exploiting that person. And I know there's a positive side effect, but that shit pisses me off really bad, man. And I've seen shit on the internet where they fucking, this dude tries to act all smug like he's doing this great shit for the world, and he's like, the whole point is to open a dialogue and blah blah blah. It's like, motherfucker, you're going back to your mansion, and your mansion was paid for by showing people pictures of fucking starving children and telling them to buy your water. That's my fucking comment on that, and I would fucking punch that dude in the face, because he's trying to act like he's doing something right, and you know, like I keep saying, there's a positive side effect to it, but he's not doing something right, man. I'm gonna stop and start this again and save this, because what my program is doing is kind of scaring me. Hold on one second. All right, so that's why I'd punch that dude in the face. And if you disagree with me, feel free to email me at beatsforwax@gmail.com. beatsforwax@gmail.com. I think that shit is mad wrong, man. Like way worse. The people complaining about the Coney shit, like this shit is way worse than that, in my opinion. Because it's come on, dude. Like that's like the percentage where like you sell a bottle of water, then maybe in small print on the side of your water, it's like, oh yeah, we do charitable work too with 3% of this with 3% of what you're paying here. It's not something that you base your entire marketing campaign on. You're rich. They're rich because of people starving, and that's fucked up to me. Ethan asked why I have a scar on my chin. It's because I fell off my bike when I was like 5 or 6 years old. However old you are when you first started riding a bike, I tried to ride down a big ass hill, and I fucking flipped over the handlebars, and I scraped my chin on the ground, and I had to get a bunch of stitches on my chin. So that's why I have that scar there. Real quick, sorry Kez, I appreciate the question. I'm not an expert in that field. This is just some stuff I wrote down. Sorry Pharrell. Good luck with the music. Just try some different stuff out and see what you're comfortable with. I use Pro Tools. E uses Ableton, but also used some other stuff in the past. Then I got some questions that I actually wanted to read on the screen. I'm sorry if this goes a little long today, but there's some stuff that I wanted to read. What is this? This is from Ronald. Ronald. Sorry to laugh at your name. I just think that's a funny name because it's Ronald McDonald or whatever. I don't fucking know. I'm 15. I'm making fun of your name and you're 15. I wonder if you go by RK. Okay. I'm 15 and I really like this chick. We've been texting for over 5 months now, and I was just about to make the move on her to get into a relationship, but then she drops a "I like this other guy" bomb on me right before I was going to tell her. She has no idea that I like her, like I never hinted at it or anything, but I don't know what to do about this shit. Like I want to continue to go after her, but I don't want to end up wasting my time. Thanks a lot, man. It would mean a lot if you answered this. P.S. Thanks for responding to my tweets all the time. That kind of shit really means a lot to a guy like me. Your biggest fan, Whoa. Damn, I thought 9/11 was about to happen on my house. Jesus Christ. But, damn, that's weird because it was 9/11 yesterday. Man, I gotta stop saying weird things. But, anyway, I read this and I knew what was going on in the first sentence. You said, I'm 15 and I really like this chick. We've been texting for over 5 months now. Texting for over 5 months now, dude, no brainer, got yourself in the friend zone. If you've been texting with this chick for 5 months and you haven't hinted at her that you like her, you're the guy that she now talks to about guys that she likes. You know what I mean? Like you're that guy. That's your fault, man. Like you got it. No offense, you're 15 and you got time to learn about this stuff. What I would recommend you do is tell her immediately that if you want to be her friend and you want to just text her and be like, oh really, did you kiss him yet, blah blah blah, like you can go ahead and doing that. But if you don't want to waste your time and your whole thing is because you actually like this chick in more than a friend way, you just got to tell her now. And then if she says no, stop texting her. If she says yes, hopefully she'll get with you instead of this other guy. But what happened there, and I'm not saying it's your fault, you got to learn things the hard way sometimes, is you took too long to kind of hint at her or indicate something, and now you've been texting for 5 months, you're in the friend zone, you know. So she looks at you as a guy she talks to about guys that she really likes or whatever. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you hitting me up, bro. Let's see if I can find on my computer screen some of these other joints. Let's see here. All right. What did this guy say? Well, this is a really long thing here. I can't. Sorry. This dude's name is Bleach Stain. Sorry, man. I appreciate you sending that in, but I think I'm gonna skip this one for now. Sorry, man. All right. Grant said, all right, yo, Wax, just want to start out and say your music is dope. I appreciate you keeping it real like all of us out here living the scrub life. What I really wanted to ask for your advice on a certain situation in my waking life. I recently just, not in your dreaming life, I recently just got out of a relationship. I think that you purposely misspelled that. A relationship a few weeks ago, and this bitch is giving me problems to this day. She's cutting my name up, saying shit that isn't true, sending me shit about how she's already fucking some other 2 or 3 dudes. Fuck if I know how many. And now everyone and their goddamn grandmother are coming up to me with this bullshit. I was wanting your opinion on how to handle a handle a chick and her horde of bullshit cock-gobbling friends and relatives in a situation like this. I was wanting to plot a good way to get back at this bitch, but I'd appreciate it if you told me what you think. P.S. I was confused on to who spits the rap break on Slow Crush from Grizzly Season. Is it you or Herbs? The fucking bourbon chicken sample is where it's at. Yes, the bourbon chicken sample is where it's at. That was me on the bridge. And with the way, to keep this brief, you called this chick a cunt. You said her horde of bullshit cock-gobbling friends and relatives. You said she's fucking 2 or 3 some other dudes. You don't even know how many. She's saying bad things about you. And now you want to get back at her. And I would say in this situation, the best thing that you can do is kind of take the high road. Instead of trying to get, I mean, what are you going to do to get back at her? What are you going to, like, while she's sleeping, put AIDS in her drink or put AIDS in her drink? That would be impressive if you could do that. I mean, the only way that you could get her back is by, like, I guess, like, doing something, having sex with one of her friends or her cock goblin relatives. And I think that that's only going to make the situation worse. So considering that you already call this girl a cunt and think of her how you do, I think the best thing to do is walk away from the situation and don't sweat all the things that people are saying, you know, because like it's best not to be involved with people like that in the first place, you know. And you learn that you learn that maybe she wasn't who you thought she were. So just walk away from the situation, man. Just take the higher road or the higher bridge on the Bay Bridge. But let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to read this one because I thought this one was interesting. This is by Anonymous. The subject is Problem with DAP. DAP. Wax. It seems every time I try to give somebody a DAP, I always fuck up and end up doing the wrong maneuver. Lately I've just been like, fuck it, but it's still awkward sometimes. Can you help me out and school me on proper DAP etiquette? Thanks. This is what I'm going to say about that. As a person who's been around for a while and has lived in different cities, known a lot of different people, different types of people, different creeds of people, people from different places, the DAP / handshake / hug / five with the dap, with the hug, with the pound, with the half man hug, you know, when you do like the thing where you do like a 5 / handshake, then you bring it to your own chest, the dude kind of comes at you, you put your left hand behind his back and you do like the quick little hug like that, usually for somebody that you kind of know a little bit better than regular. But then in some cases you might have to break out the job interview straight ahead handshake. Sometimes people just give you the pound. Sometimes people give you a double dap where you go up, down. Sometimes people do up, down, then do a frontwards dap. If you're on the West Coast, if you give somebody some kind of 5, you always got to, depending on certain situations, a lot of times black dudes don't do this and only white dudes, like beachy San Diego dudes, do this. You got to give them the afterward pound after the handshake, or like, and if you don't, they'll be like, what the fuck, dude? But then if you live on the West Coast for a while and you bring that shit back to the East Coast and you try to do that, they look at you like you're fucking crazy. So the point is, don't try to figure that shit out because it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Some people are really good at doing it. They always know what kind of handshake or what kind of thing to do in certain situations. But for me, I have no fucking clue. The more I learn about different kind of handshakes, the more confusing it is because I have no idea what to do in certain situations. So the best thing to do is one of two things. Either always go for like the standard job interview, put your hand out and do like the up and down shake, then come back. Or always do the joint where you just put your fist out and do the quick bump slap, like, you know, the dap. EOM actually told me, EOM when he was younger was a big fan of Mr. Liff. And he says that when he was in like the front row and he was at a Mr. Liff show. I don't know if you guys know who Mr. Liff is. If you don't, he was like on Def Jux. Even before that, he's a dope rapper, kind of like an underground kind of backpack type dude. But he's the shit. My brother's a big Mr. I like Mr. Liff too. My brother was a big Mr. Liff fan, and EOM was a real big Mr. Liff fan supposedly. And when he was like real young, he went to a Mr. Liff show, and he was like in the front row wilding out. And he went to give Mr. Liff a 5, and Mr. Liff looked at him in the eye and said, And he put his fist up like that and gave E a little like frontward punch dap, you know? And he said, ever since then, that's what I do. So I'd say either do that or the handshake. And I would base that on, you know, if you're doing a job interview, obviously always do the handshake. The point is, there's no way to fucking know. And the older you get and the more places you live, especially, the more places you live, it gets way worse. There's no way to know. And if you're kind of socially awkward anyway, like me, it's even worse than that. All right, let's do a couple more of these, then I'm gonna be out. Now I wanted to answer a couple of these, but come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Hold on, y'all. Let me save this. All right. Hopefully, damn. All right, good thing I've been back. At first, I used to not back up all my stuff. Now, like every day, I do like the little time machine and back up my whole computer. So I'm not tripping about that. But I just don't want to talk for an hour and then just to be like, well, all that's gone. You know, maybe that'd be better for the world. But this is an interesting one. This is from Katarina. Hi Wax, really hope you read this email. Just so you know, I'm not from an English-speaking country, so I apologize in advance for misspellings and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to guess because I'm ignorant that since your name is Katarina, maybe you're from like somewhere European, but east leaning. Germany or east of that. And that's based on no information except your name, so you can call me what you want to because I'm a fucking idiot. You're probably from, you could be from anywhere. I should just delete this whole part. First, I wanted to tell you I really love your music, and I love the song Limousine. It makes me feel good inside to hear it, and I'm glad you like that song. Now, the reason why I'm sending this email in the first place. I'm a 22-year-old girl who also happens to be a virgin. This is not something I'm frustrated about, if that's what you're thinking, because I'm the one who decided things are going to be this way until I find somebody I trust and I feel comfortable with. And that's your prerogative, and I think that this is a smart thing to do in many cases. Trust me, I know some girls that wish they would have done that. But lately I started thinking about something I actually never thought of before. What if the guy I actually fall for someday thinks of me still being a virgin as a disadvantage? Especially if he's a few years older. Maybe he would see it as a big turnoff because I'm sure that most guys my age and older have lost their virginity a long time ago and now just want to have high quality sex, which is obviously not something he's going to have with me right away. So my question is, how would you feel if a girl you feel like dating was still a virgin? Would it be a turnoff or a good thing? Would it matter to you at all? It would be really great if you answered because I could really use some unbiased advice. And I'll give you some unbiased advice, and this is kind of off the top. I hadn't really thought about how I'm going to answer this, but first of all, congratulations to you for taking the moral high road. You're not pregnant. You don't have an STD unless you were born with AIDS and you made it 22 years, which is pretty amazing. You have a great immune system if that's the case. But as far as, I can see your point, If for me, it would be less about the high quality sex aspect of the thing and more about like, wow, she's been waiting this long and I'm gonna, you know, de-virginize this girl. I'm not gonna do that unless I'm really sure that I want to be with this girl for a long time. I'd have to like really have strong feelings for this girl to de-virginize her. Granted, there's a lot of dudes out there that will look at you like prey and be like, yeah, I'm gonna de-virginize her. And they would actually, there's a lot of dudes out there that probably be turned on by that, and maybe even turned on by the fact that you're not, turned on by the fact that this is new to you and all that stuff. You know, like the same kind of dudes who would watch like there's a lot of like porn out there where it's like there's teen porn where they say that the girl's a virgin. Obviously they're not, but it's just to play into these fantasies and whatnot. And it's funny. I know about so much different kind of porn. You guys probably think I'm fucking crazy, but it's really not that crazy because there's a lot of different types of porn out there. And the internet is a place where you accidentally discover some weird shit even. So basically I would say this. Don't worry too much about that. Just be open. Just make sure you're open with people. Like don't wait till you're about to go there and tell them that. Definitely don't wait until after you have sex with a person and be like, "Oh, by the way, that was my first time." But if you want your first time to be high quality, speaking of porn, go watch a little bit of porn and maybe ask some of your friends about it. Like just be a little bit more prepared. You know, just try to educate yourself on sex, and then the first time it'll be better maybe, and then you know, hopefully that person will be the right person, and you will made the right decision. Like I said, I know a lot of people who probably wish they would have made that decision. So I appreciate the email, Katerina, and let me see maybe if I got any more here. What the fuck is this guy trying to talk about? I think I'm gonna. Sorry, Marcus, man. I think I'm gonna skip that one for today, just because this is running kind of long. Let me read. I'm gonna read this last one because this dude literally is probably one of my biggest fans for a long period of time. His name is Ben from England. He says, "Hey Mike, when are you coming to England? I've been following you since the old McGregor days and MySpace." And that's true. Like Ben has been following me for a long time. He hits me up about all the music, and I just wanted to say what's up, Ben. Give you mad props. I appreciate that. And then his question was, I work in business in terms of college and whatnot. I'm wondering, how do you build up your confidence to perform in front of so many? I have to do very big presentations this year, and any help would be much appreciated. I wanted to answer that by saying this. When I was in school and I had to do those kind of presentations where you just kind of stand there in front of a class and talk to people, I was terrified. I would shake, I would sweat, my lips would quiver, and I could barely talk. But it's just something you have to do a bunch of times. You know, for me, obviously, in school when I had to do that, it was very hard, very difficult. But at the same time, I was playing in a band, and you get nervous when you go up on the stage with a band, but you huddle up with everybody, and you just go out there, and you're a team, and everybody's sharing the praise, everybody's sharing the blame. So it's just like if you had a group project, like if you stood up there up in front of the class and it was 4 people presenting, it wouldn't be as nerve-wracking as it would be with one person. But then once you start doing shows by yourself, it's actually a little bit more difficult. But then after a while, even with that, you get used to it, and then eventually you just get comfortable. And it's just like anything else, man. It just requires practice. There's nothing you can do about it the first few times, man. Like all that difficulty is actually learning, and it's actually, you have to experience the difficult shit in order for it to get easier. And unless you're just a natural, which most people aren't, But I appreciate that, Ben. I had a couple more things I wanted to say. I just want to thank Ryan for the suggestion. I want to thank Shalana, Mujo, Clinton, Nick, and Josh from Arkansas for all the love. And to some of them, sorry I couldn't get to your questions. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this one, man. I don't want to go too much longer. I hope this one was good. But I think I shared with you some insight. And I'll get back to you next Wednesday with another episode of Wax's podcast. Be safe out there.